We're going live on Facebook.
And we're there. Oh. Good. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. Everybody here in the room and online. We are, it is another Wednesday morning, 9 o'clock, and we're ready to get kicked off here. And with that, let's go ahead and next slide, please. Thank you. So we are sponsored by the Kauffman Foundation. The Kauffman Foundation works with communities in entrepreneurship and education to help increase opportunities to allow all people to learn, take risks, and use their own for their own success. So we are looking forward to an exciting meeting this morning. And with that, we've got visitors. I know we have several visitors this morning. If you raise your hand and then give us your name, company name, and then how you heard about us. So let's see who I think, Margot.
Thanks for having me. Glad to have found you. My name is Margot Halstead. My company name is Aura Hill. And I heard about you through the Loudoun Economic Development. So I live in Loudoun County and attempted to join the Loudoun County 1 Million Cups, so to speak. And they meet once a month instead of once a week. So I've been there once. And in meeting them, I was introduced to the Loudoun County Economic Development, and that gentleman really encouraged me to come. And so the format of yours is more what is advertised. So I'm glad to be here.
Great, fantastic. We are thrilled you're here, and I know we are talking about presenting in the next month or so, or maybe 6 weeks.
Yeah, I wanted to be here for a little bit first. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Glad you're here.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Any other visitors?
Oh, yeah.
We get to, yeah.
Who's that?
Hey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, come on up. We have a visitor in the room.
No, it's been a while, so I just wanted to be here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tim Otto. I'm actually, my company is Omega Marketing Group. I've been to some of the online 1 Million Cups, and I've heard about the group for a year or two, but here to network and get to meet people and see what's new in the business community.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
It's always great to have new people joining us. All right. Anybody else? We look good. All right. All right. If you would just take a minute to check in. We always like to have people check in because we do get swag and stuff from 1 Million Cups for our regular meetings. And so take advantage of that QR code you see on the screen. Go ahead and register. And yep, we're, as you can see, we're trending and the trend is going in the right direction. So we're excited about that. So yeah, we'll also see that QR code and again as well. So don't get too stressed out if you don't get it this time. All right. So this does happen as a result of a number of volunteers. You can see on the screen, we've got an organizers as well as brand ambassadors. We would love to have additional organizers and brand ambassadors, and you can reach out to any of us and to find out a little bit more about that. We have a fun and exciting time here on Mondays. We meet for a half hour to talk about the meetings on Wednesdays. So we'd love to have additional people join us as well. And then also,
Oh, sorry.
that's all right. I just wanted to mention we've got a couple of sponsors down there, partners that we work with. We have Veterans Growing America, as well as the Fairfax Economic Development Authority. So again, there's that QR code to take advantage of if you'd like. James. So we are both national and local. We have there are 120 chapters across the country, really helping to give an opportunity for an educational experience. You see, we have local companies present, and we're excited to have that happen today in just a few minutes. James, next slide. All right, there's some key pillars with regards to 1 Million Cups. We are presentations and not pitches. We are not trying to raise any money here. The other interesting thing about 1 Million Cups is it is about authentic connections. I'll say not networking, but it's I'm going to call it organic networking. This is run for the community and by the community, and we are radically and intentionally inclusive. We love to have everybody and anybody participate. One of the ways this happens is we are very grateful for our sponsors. We've got the George Mason Enterprise Center today, and Eddie Hill is going to come up and talk about the George Mason Enterprise Center. Eddie.
John, thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. For those of you that aren't here with us today, we wish that you were. You can see our gorgeous facility and actually be with these folks in person. Mason Enterprise Center is a traditional business incubator. We work with a large variety of companies, and so we're terrific with startups and early stage companies, but also we provide services for companies at every stage of the life cycle. We'd love to get to know you. We'd love to give you a tour. Please reach out to me directly at ehill25@gmu.edu to learn a little bit more about who we are and what we do. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Eddie. And it is a gorgeous facility. So with that, we next have our coffee sponsor. And we've got Amy, who's going to talk about 48 Blocks Fine Candy, marshmallows, and more. Amy.
Good morning, 1 Million Cups. I'm Amy Hughes. I own 48 Blocks Fine Candy, and we focus on unique sweets, some traditional, some less traditional, but we're doing unique sweets and unique flavors. Marshmallows are our passion. That's where we started, but we're also doing gluten-free and vegan fruit pâtés. Also organic if you're into that with your sweets. Our holiday catalog is online at 48blocksfinecandy.com, and we are accepting orders now through December for corporate gifts as well as just unique retail items. So I hope you'll check it out, and thanks everyone for being here.
Oh, Amy, we miss you being here. I miss that fruit pate.
We'll get you some more.
All right, how our meetings work. I know everybody's relatively familiar with this. We take advantage of the chat as we're going through. Please add all of your information to the chat, as we said before. And then also any comments you see that you find helpful, go ahead and summarize those in chat as well. And then at the end of the meeting, I have the opportunity to save that chat. So definitely make sure you take advantage of that. How our meetings work, it's pretty straightforward. We want to make sure it's a great experience for everybody. And so please make sure that you're on mute unless you're speaking. And yeah, again, I think everybody's pretty familiar as far as, chat. So let's move on. All right, we are a kind group. Let's, take a read on the slide. Your goal here is to be helpful, to be helpful in a kind way. So we are going to make sure that that happens. So again, take advantage of the slide there. And I don't think I need to say any more with regards to being kind. Now, what we're here for is Dumi's presentation. I am thrilled to introduce Dumi. This is really excited. He has presented before, so this is a follow-up presentation. And with that, Dumi, I think we're going to go ahead and kick it off with you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, John. Really appreciate that. Well, first, before I share my screen, I'll say thank you so much for having me once again. I think the last time we were so much further before where we're at right now, and really excited to kind of show where we're at right now, both in terms of our product, but some of the questions that we still might have and we need help with. I know since we met first, I spoke with James and a couple of other people who were incredibly helpful, giving us more detail. But for everyone who doesn't know our story, I think I want to start from the beginning and share that, just to refresh everyone's memory about who we are, why we do what we do, and how we go about doing it. So you guys can let me know if you can see your screen and everything is clear. Okay, great. So I think I pressed the wrong button. I'm going to say view slideshow. Perfect. So once this gets up, So my name is Dumi. I'm the co-founder of a startup called Shanda, and what we essentially offer is easy podcast editing for storytellers. But first, I want to just share a little bit about me and my story. So I come from Zimbabwe, which is a country in Southern Africa, which is a beautiful place. And this is a picture of me and my family, me growing up. I had a wonderful childhood. But it was also very complicated in that it was also raised, Zimbabwe was run by a dictator for 40 years. And what dictators often do is they stifle freedom of expression in the media, and they control the narrative of a country through doing that, which meant as a result, I didn't grow up with a wide range of local, diverse, authentic stories. So for me, years later, podcasts became incredibly fascinating because it was the first time I saw a decentralized form of media and storytelling. So I started my own, called it Zimbabwean Voices, where I interviewed a wide range of people that were doing good and impactful work in my community who inspired me. So take episode 3, for example. There's a girl called Tina who I interviewed, and her job was she had a nonprofit and she would send kids to school. And that was such a fantastic thing she was doing, especially during the pandemic, when many people were locked indoors and were losing opportunities. So with our podcast, with episode 3, we interviewed her, and with our community that we built, we sent kids to school. And I think that was really a fascinating moment for me because I started this podcast, grew this small community, but with our community and through stories, we were able to send 8 girls to school during this pandemic. Now I realized, okay, podcasting is incredibly powerful, I think, because it's a compelling medium for telling a story and to compel an audience. But the problem was it was really difficult to learn how to actually make an episode. It was very fulfilling and impactful, but I took 5 hours per episode trying to figure out how to actually make a podcast. And I had never had any experience with it. And then when I kind of started to do some research, I learned that actually it wasn't just me that felt similarly. In fact, 75% of people that actually started a podcast don't get past episode 4. So which means, so kind of similar to myself, people have these beautiful ideas they want to incubate and share with the world, but they do all of these recordings and get to episode 3 and they just kind of churn out and get fatigued. And when you ask them, what's the actual problem? You actually start to discover that most people, they look around for tools to use, and some of the tools that they use are tools like this. The vast majority of tools look like this, and they're very technical for a person that's never edited audio before, made a podcast. And as a result, podcasting becomes long, as I mentioned with me, fragmented, in that you're stitching together multiple tools to tell your story. And if you can't afford it, it's pretty expensive to outsource about $100 an episode for someone else to do it. And slow. Once you've given this person, your editor, to do it, it takes 3 to 5 days to get your content back. So when I got to Georgetown to do my MBA, I was just thinking about this problem that I wanted to keep my podcast going during business school, but I just didn't have the time. And I had a co-founder called Paul, who is now the co-founder of Shanda, and he's extremely passionate about stories and audio and storytelling, much like myself. And him and I worked together to make this product called Shanda. And essentially what it does is it helps you we've thought about all the steps it takes to save time to actually make what we call an edited podcast to a published episode, all the way from editing of the content, all the way up until the last piece, which you have to then publish it to places like Spotify. So we've thought about all the sequential steps that people need to do to go from A to Z to tell their story. And they do it in 10 minutes rather than the 5 hours that it took them before. Like myself when I started. And as a result, when they use our product, our goal is to help people become confident storytellers, impactful thought leaders, and community builders as a result of what we have made. So how we kind of offer our services currently right now, we're still refining this, but right now, for 2 hours, people can use our product. And if they want to use it beyond that, we charge them $12 per month. And when we met at 1 Million Cups before, we got a lot of feedback on who we should focus on. And when we launched, we saw that there were certain groups where people that were looking for would cluster. In person, you'd see them in places like journalism and communication students on college campuses. And online, you see kind of these people who write blogs, ironically. So bloggers on Substack, Medium, some on LinkedIn, who are just different forms of storytellers who are using audio as a way to supplement their stories. So since we launched last time, we had, 0 active customers last time, but now, of course, we've got 200 people onboarded, 50 of them are active, and we've kind of just crossed about $500 in sales recently. We have about 7 paying customers right now. We're looking to grow that to a larger audience, but we haven't spent much on marketing. It's just been really organic, hands-on recruiting. And the goal, of course, is to then just be better at distributing our product in a more effective way to where our consumers are on places like Substack, Medium, and any better places that we see could get good traction. There are a few competitors in the space. I think we're still refining this, but what we've found is how we are trying to be different is focus on the speed of production in terms of raw recording to publish episode, maybe more affordable, simpler, and easier to use. But I think that's features based. I think the main thing is kind of building a brand off this idea of storytelling. Everyone is kind of pitching their product as features, which is useful. But really, what is the person trying to do? And the person is trying to tell a story. And if we can tell that message really effectively, which we're still trying to get better at, I think that's how we'll distinguish ourselves. It's time savings plus speed to tell stories so that you can spend more time doing that rather than just editing. So our vision, of course, is we're still far off from where we want to get to, but we believe in the power of stories and their ability to transform the world and shape how society should be. And I think we want to do this for many people as possible. But we need support. I mean, we've had terrific support through the Georgetown community. Techstars community has been very supportive to us. We're doing a pre-accelerator program with them. And of course, we're here for support from the 1 Million Cups community. You guys are a big community that believe in education, learning, community itself, and the power of people banding together. But yeah, we have a couple of questions that we just want to run past you. I think right now we're trying to get to our first 10 customers. I know you've heard our story and who we're trying to go after. We're at 7 right now. There might be people that might help us to get to 10. And I think we're just trying to get these incremental steps towards building our base of people who want to tell these stories. So when I get to 10, we'd love to get your perspective on how best do you think we could do that. Yeah, essentially that's a little bit about us. What I want to do is maybe pause there, let you digest it. I want to show you the product and how it works now, so you can actually get a visual about maybe how we can actually maybe do that. So maybe I'm gonna exit here, and I'm gonna come to the next tab, which is the main landing page, Shanda Studio. A person kind of clicks there, and let me go to the beginning again. So we've logged in, and I'm gonna just upload a recording of something that I recorded with a teacher that was on campus the other day. And this person's a teacher, and I asked them a very quick question about their favorite thing about their job. So we've given them the audio recording. Now we're just removing the background noise from the actual recording. So you'll see in a few seconds how a product can actually do that. And once it's done, let me know if you can hear audio on your screen. So give me a second. Okay. So we've tried to reinforce the idea of storytelling as the person waits for their final output. Then as a result, okay, let's do that again. Okay, perfect. So then we'll press I'm going to just show a contrast. Okay, so I've just pulled up my voice memo app. I'm going to ask, I'm not sure, what is your favorite thing about teaching?
My students aren't paying attention. No, I'm kidding.
So essentially what we've done is we've removed the background noise first from the recording. So we've filtered all the background noise so that there's no fluff in the back. Then we're using the enhanced track. And then we're going to the next step, which is to say, let's actually see what was discussed in this particular dialogue. And then we can press play. Okay. So I've just pulled up my voice memo app. I'm going to ask, I'm not sure, what is your favorite thing about teaching?
My favorite thing about teaching is when...
So I've just removed the background noise. Now you can see the actual transcript, but then you might want to remove me from the dialogue. So just like a Word document or a Word editor, I'm going to cut out me speaking, and you see? Okay. And I'm going to go straight into him speaking.
My favorite thing about...
So essentially, we've made it simple to edit like a text document. And then the next step, of course, is we've prevented the person with the option of using intro and outro music that they might want to use. So for example, we've given them some options that they can select. This is my favorite. so they can choose music if they want that or not. I like music in mine because it gives a feel of a branded podcast or story. And you can
Students are pitching is them, whether that review to that is the best thing.
So we've given this, remove the background noise, edited the content, given it music. Now we've automated some of the descriptions. So you'll see some titles will say the best thing about teaching, or discover the formats of moments when Nacho explains how he finds joy in helping students grow emotionally. So we've automated some of the descriptions for the particular product that the person has made, so that they don't have to think about it, or at least they have a bit of a lift. Now I've uploaded an image for that particular thumbnail so that when you're on Spotify or Apple, you can see what it looks like. And then the last part is bringing all the pieces together. And what's happening now, of course, is bringing all the elements, the edits in one workflow, and then now it's just playing it back.
Okay, we seeing.
So you can download the final recording. And what we're building now is the ability to publish to Spotify or Apple. And essentially, I've been speaking to you for a couple of minutes, and I've just made a podcast in 3 to 5 minutes. So, but it's not really about our product. It's about what the product enables you to do, which is about, hey, tell a story for your community, for your audience, and to help build your audience and extend your thought leadership. And that might be your particular use case. So that's a little bit about us, our story, our product, and what it helps people to do. And the reason why I wanted to speak today is to get your perspective on how do we go from, of course, we've got, let's say, a group of people that are using it, but how do you go from 10 to, let's say, 100 of people? Like, how do you scale it beyond that? That's the first thing. And second thing is perspective on pricing. Like we're trying to figure out how to price this thing effectively. But first, maybe I'll have to get all of your feedback on, growing. Like, how do you grow it beyond the 10 to the 100, et cetera, et cetera? Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Dumi, thank you so much. I got to tell you, this is exactly why I come here, to learn about things, new things. So I really appreciate you being here, Dumi. And Jen's going to be our moderator. So Jen, I'll turn it over to you.
Perfect. Let me readjust the screen for the person who's a foot taller. I'm a foot more perfect. Dumi, great having you. Thank you again for coming back and presenting. You're always so complimentary to our group. We appreciate that. To kick us off, so again, I'd love for people in the room, if you have a question, come on up to the podium. I already know James Lawson has a question. Come on up here, James. He's going to kick us off. If you have a question in the room in Zoom, just raise your hand digitally and we'll go from there. Come on over.
I'm 3 foot taller. She only moved it for a foot. I'm 3. Dumi, good seeing you again, brother. Great presentation. So one of the things that you and I spoke about was creating maybe a niche within your podcasting community for students only.
Yep.
Right. So your challenge question is how to go from 10 to 100.
Mm-hmm.
Have you thought any more about just promoting that as being built by students for students and allowing that then, but still keep your storytelling kind of theme, if you will, around that, so they know, hey, this is specifically for me? Because I think that might be a really good niche for you to get into to really get traction on your numbers. I don't think your pricing is an issue. I think it's more about getting the traction on the number.
Totally. I think that's a fantastic, and that was one of the best calls I had when I spoke to you about that. And we focus all of our time and effort on students. I think what we've learned is, I think there's a language problem in terms of how we are communicating. But what we're trying to do is we've done 3 or 4 workshops on college campuses since you gave that feedback, and people have been coming and liking those workshops. We've been able to present in podcasting classes, journalism classes, etc. And we've got people onboarded. Some people are using. What I'm not sure of is when we do that, we're still getting traffic from different personas, I would say. So it's kind of like the students are being onboarded, some are using, but I'm not sure, some, and they're too paying, but willingness to pay is an open question mark. And that's kind of the main thing. So all of our content is student facing. We've been doing a podcast just speaking to students and telling their hopes, dreams, aspirations, desires. But I'm not sure yet if the pain point is there's pain points, but is the willingness to pay there is the open question mark. And that's
Okay.
And it's still early, so maybe I'm being premature. But that's
Yeah, that could just be a messaging nuance, right, for them. But I still think it's an avenue you can go down. Anyway, good seeing you again.
Agreed. Thanks, James.
You know, John Foster leaves the monitor and he's already raised his hand to his laptop. He just wants to get back up on the screen.
Go to Amy though.
All right, Amy, Hughes, and then John, and then Melinda. So we'll go back and forth, digital and in person. Amy, go ahead.
Dumi, great presentation. I'm glad to hear the progress that is happening. One of the questions I had, and it kind of builds on James's comment a little bit. I see that service is free for 2 hours a month, and then when you hit the paid point, it increases. One of the questions I had is, how are you communicating the efficiency to your potential paid customers? Because as you mentioned in your brief, you know, it's about 5 hours of production if you're doing it traditionally. And so where I see it's free for 2 hours, yeah, I get that in concept. But where is and sorry if I'm stumbling there, but the creative differentiator to push folks into, not push, but to encourage folks to move to a paid model?
Yeah, I think in the honest answer is we're kind of still learning, because we put 2 hours, but then we're like, well, let's see how much people are uploading. And you see some people uploading 10 minutes or these micro bits. And then you're like, well, are we giving away too much? But again, some people will then do a half an hour upload. So it's kind of, we're still learning about what is the right threshold. But I think there's also a really important fact about, but you should be able to communicate even to your paid people, like, hey, you know, I feel like how we're recruiting our paid people is I literally have to ask and say, hey, you're using it, but it'd be great if you support us. Here's oh yeah, sure, and then they pay. But I think we're giving, away too much value upfront in the 2 hours, and maybe we aren't being effective in asking about the people that we have currently to upsell. And I think we're not being good there. Does that make sense?
Perfect. So just a quick reminder, let's make sure we keep our questions and answers concise.
Sure.
John Foster, go ahead.
Let me scoot down.
Oh my God, yeah.
Quiet. There we go. So real quick, podcasting to me is something I've wanted to do, and this certainly maybe helps take away those barriers. One of the groups I'm involved in is a meetup group. I don't know if you looked at 4 meetup groups of podcasters, potentially as an opportunity to, present this out to some of the meetup groups of podcasters. I know there's one in Maryland that's fairly active, so just throw that out there.
Sure, that'll be helpful. Thank you.
I'm gonna wear my tall shoes next time. All right, Melinda.
Great presentation. Couple of ideas that may help you really quickly. You may want to come up with some ambassadors and have ambassadors in your group. I also wrote down testimonials, maybe of some of the folks that have been really great on podcasts. And then I came up with podcaster of the month, mentors. And if you could put some of those elements into it, make it a little bit more user friendly, find your best podcasters and ask them to be mentors. I mean, that might be a starting point, or ask them to be ambassadors, which means that they're mentors.
Totally. Thank you. That's gold. Thank you. Thanks, Melinda.
Dumi, before we jump to John Rutenberg, just wanted to throw out a couple of ideas. One would be, if the differentiator is making it easy to tell stories, you've already got the Georgetown Network. I don't know if you've talked to the Alumni Association, but I'd highly recommend talking to them and being able to feature alums. I also think, and maybe you've done this, but I'll push on this as well, doing an entrepreneurship podcast featuring entrepreneurs. I know that's something that's been tried, but I think that could be a tool that could also be student led. And there are people in the room like Tim, who runs emerging leaders for Central Fairfax. So there's chamber stories too. So organizations that naturally have people who want to get their story out might be a specific niche to think about. John Rittenberg, please.
Hoya podcast. So I think you should go to the right people at the different colleges. I recognize Georgetown is maybe low-hanging fruit, but it may end up being a smaller place that has a podcast, and give it to them for free. Make it available for free. I think James said earlier, pricing it right now is very secondary. Getting people a user community that authenticates what you're doing as a community. Then you can start at what sounded to me at $12 a month, very reasonable. And, you'll learn that. But getting a community online, a college group using it because they're in the podcast world, or their kids. First, your ideal market, if that's that population.
Yeah.
So there are people in here who can help you shape your ideal market, whatever that is. And then give it to them for free. And thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, John.
All right, anybody else in the room before we go to Reggie? All right, Reggie, you're up.
Hello, you guys hear me?
Yep, we can.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, great presentation, Dumi. Thank you for sharing a couple ideas. Since it kind of has its origin in education, I think doing like a podcast academy, like a mini podcast academy, where you get people to sign up to sit through a couple hours of workshop where you're teaching them like how to use your product, but it's more about the mechanics of podcasting and sort of what you can do with it. I think that could be helpful to get a group of people at one time to adopt the product, but also you're kind of grounding in this idea that this is kind of an educational product. This is where it has its origin, so you can really appeal to that that community. So that was my idea.
Thank you. Thanks, Reggie. Thank you.
All right, next up in the room is Eddie. Come on up.
Hi, Dumi. Good morning. So as someone who's engaged with small companies, small businesses on a regular basis, have you given thought to offering educational sessions for co-working spaces, incubators like ours and things like that on the power of storytelling as part of your marketing? Because one of the things that I love about your product is that you remove one of the giant pain points to podcasting. I think a lot of people would be interested in that, in doing podcasting, but there's a lot that they don't know. And to the extent that you actually provide a big solution to those people, I think that's huge. So just for numbers, I know just with some relations that we have with the VentureX's and Office Evolution and industrious places like that, you're looking at any one of those locations, potentially 50 to 60 small businesses in one of those locations that you could have as a captive audience. And just a few of those here and there could be a great market for you and probably a pretty easy and cheap way to market the product.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Thank you.
If only we had someone who could make that introduction. Eddie will put his contact info in chat so that you can follow up with him. Chris Rum.
Hey, Dumi, nice to meet you. Great presentation, man.
Thank you.
My question is, do you have any feedback loop mechanisms in place, like a survey tool or anything, for your existing users, like why they signed up, what they like, what they dislike? And then you had mentioned other personas who either visit your website or interact with your company in some way. If you have a way to, capture their info and ask why they didn't sign up or gain any insights there, I think that can be huge. And then just another question, any compatibility with video or just exclusively audio? Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. I can answer. Oh, should I answer?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Yes, feedback loop is something that we've just built in now that people can put their feedback in. I think we could get better at how we do that, but I think it's very important. But we'll work on that right now. Video is the biggest thing that's growing, but video is pretty expensive to start off with. So I think for now, it's how to be minimal feature set audio, get a critical user base, and then until we can then start incorporating to prove validation, like this is working, now let's do video. But it's definitely in the roadmap, quote unquote. But thanks, Chris.
All right, Nguyen, go ahead.
Hey, great product, by the way. I am also planning to do my podcast right now. We are launching YouTube recently. So I really like this product. The recommendation I would recommend is if someone has signed up for already signed up for a trial version, after like probably an hour of trial, you should send them an email saying, check in, like how's everything going, and then probably tell them that, how much have you been saving times, and then also when you selling, have it that price when they're doing on the website, you can also, saying your value proposition is like, save you 4 hours of editing time each episode, right? And plus like that. So that definitely would help you. But you will get my my subscription very soon. I'm looking forward to this.
Very sweet. Thank you so much. And please email me. I'm excited to talk to you in the future. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And then Reggie and John, I see your hands raised. Are you guys good, or you have another question?
Another question after Reggie.
Okay, Reggie.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you plan to introduce like licenses for groups and organizations. I think that's an easy way to get the numbers up. And I know communities that want a tool like this that they can make available to their members, at a discounted rate, but they hold a license for 10 seats, 20 seats, whatever. So if that's not part of your model, I think it'd be good to introduce something like that. So groups like Chambers and other groups can make something like this available to members who want to tell their story. And then really quick, I think it's marketed to like individuals, so I think in general, whether you use that idea or not, I think thinking about communities and groups that want to tell a story is something you can work into your marketing once you start doing that, because podcasting is really, it's about the voice of the one person, but it's really about the voice of the group of people that are maybe unheard or unspoken for. So I think capturing that idea will encourage more people to tell their story and use your platform as the one of choice for doing that. So.
I really love 1MillionCups. I really
Right, 9:38. That's the timestamp.
I really love it.
Yeah, I can grab that.
Great testimonial.
That's
Exactly.
right, great testimonial. I'm gonna have Suleiman actually is in the room. I'm gonna have him go, and then John, I'm gonna come back to you if you don't mind.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. So I was kind of like hybrid today. I started listening to your presentation. It was fantastic. It was great. The way that it is user friendly, I like that one. Especially that transcript. So it was my first time to see, and it's one of the biggest challenge that I thought as if I will start having a podcast was that whether I can find any user-friendly application or not, which I say like this is the one. One question, is this only the transcript one? Is this only for English language transcript, or it can generate like other languages as well?
That's a very good question. I think for now we want to do English, but the dream is to do multiple. That's where we're headed towards, but it's a very good point.
Great questions.
Yeah.
John Riedenberg.
Thank you. For your 7 current paying members, whether they're friends and family or whomever, what about starting a referral program where when you refer someone, you get 3 months free or X months free? Because again, right now, your goal is get users. Not necessarily paying, get users who stick on using, you'll, when you have 100 people using it, you'll be able to charge the 101st, no problem.
Totally. Thanks, John. I think and referral is everything. I think what we're still trying to learn from is what incentives drive referral. And I think that's what we have to ask them.
Yeah.
Is it free subscriptions? Is it, I don't know. We need to then figure that. What are the incentives that drive?
Ask.
Yeah, just ask. Yeah.
Just building on that idea, I do think educating or helping people accelerate the launch of their podcast could be a great perk. If someone is referred, or I was going to actually recommend an invitation, right? So if I know James Lawson and he's fantastic, I want to be able to invite him to your platform to try it. One other thought I had was for authors. So as an author, I was even thinking, could I use your platform to just record each chapter in my book? Each chapter could be a different episode. I don't know if there's a time constraint on recordings or not, as far as what the platform can handle. It sounds like there's not, but I do think, most authors, they don't write a book to make money. I mean, unless you're James Patterson and then you're making lots of money. You're really doing it to increase visibility. And so you may want to think about testing a niche for authors, as this could be an easy way for them to launch, not having to know much about a podcast if they're just reading their book or having someone do a voiceover. So just a thought. Next up, John Norris, and then I'll go back to Melinda.
Hey, Dumi, I was just going to comment, just be careful about giving away free things. What I would tell you to do, like successful business do, is work on your value proposition. What is the value that you're returning to them, whether it's $1 a month, $12 a month, $0. But you got to be careful when you give things away for free. Obviously you need revenue. So I'd be more inclined to charge a premium or an amount that obviously creates value for the consumer.
Helpful. Thanks, John.
Thank you, John. And Margot, apologies. I got distracted by everybody in the room telling me I was short. Just kidding. It was after that. Please go ahead and ask your question.
It was exactly what you said, Jen. My question is, what is the time limit for it? Because I think there is a huge audience that you might be able to tap into, and that is authors as well as self-publishing services, because they all have people that they hire to do that work. And if they could do it more efficiently, then they also are making more money. So your service would be very valuable to them. But I'm listening to this whole thing wondering, why are we only focusing on students, notoriously poor? And so trying to say, okay. And then my suggestion for you is, what you did in this presentation was fabulous. And if you could do that, and I know you can, in a 30-second little video snip with what your thing does, like right here by your head.
Yeah.
Slap that puppy on LinkedIn, because I have so many friends who have fallen into that category that you said of they don't get past number 4. And they would be thrilled to know that that exists. So why narrow? Why so narrow?
Thank you. Thank you.
Dumi, one other question before I go back to either John or Nguyen. I know when people launch a podcast, it's good to have like 20 in the can that you can upload directly to Apple or Spotify. Is that a functionality that you have where people can create multiple and upload them at once, or it would just be create them and then upload them one by one on the same day or something like that? Like, how would that work?
It would kind of be like, so it would be the latter. So what we're making right now is you upload them one by one, and then by the end of so right now you can just edit it, but by the end of the year, you'll be able to upload them all. Then you can schedule how you want to ship them over the 20 weeks, let's say. But right now it's just end-to-end product, but in a month, you'll be able to schedule all 20. So we're getting there.
I like the schedule function.
Okay.
John Norris, did you have another question?
No, I forgot to take my hand down. Lower hand. There we go. Sorry.
That's all right,
Go to
John.
New
All
Union. No, go to New Union.
right, Nguyen, go ahead. And then we'll
Hey,
get to Linda.
yeah. So I was looking at a pricing structure, right? Because if it's 12.99 per month and you don't have any limited on the amount of hours of editing, you might losing a lot of money on that side. So I would probably recommend to do is having like a tiers where okay 12.99 5 to 10 hours per month and then stuff like that. And then I did put in a comment earlier as well is the A and B testing and analytics is really important for podcaster as well. And so that might be another function you might want to think and add it on. And then the third one would be the channel, right? So if you can price in your tier where okay, each traditional channel you want to post online with X amount of money. So then the editing will be separately then from the posting, right? So then you get money from both sides, and then anyone that want convenient, they want to add $5 a month for posting it on the website on the podcast plus scheduling and everything. So you can mimic one of the. So are we using TubeBuddies right now for our YouTube analytics and analyzing? So I would recommend to look at what they do and probably mimic what they do because they are multi-million-dollar business. So good luck.
Thank you very much. And we're everything you're saying is in the roadmap, but it's good to hear it out loud from somebody else that hey, need these things and separate the pricing. So thank you. Thanks, Nguyen.
Yep. You're welcome.
All right, next up, Melinda.
A couple of things really quickly, and I'm surprised John Foster didn't bring it up. LinkedIn. There are lots of groups on LinkedIn, including podcaster groups that you might want to get vocal in. And I had a few clients that were storytellers 5-10 years ago. This would be a great tool for them as they're teaching people to tell stories, how they can tell stories as podcasts. So I put those comments in the chat.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Do I get the chat afterwards, by the way? I feel there's so much value in there.
Chat free as well.
And the video.
No, he doesn't get it for free. You got to pay for that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Every idea is $10.
You think?
No, you get it for free. John Rinberg.
Thank you. And Dumi again. Phenomenal presentation. Very cool product. So there are experts in this room who are experts in messaging, and that's not including me. So one thing I believe is your messaging should resonate with storytellers. So who are the storytellers out there who make up your ideal client? And I think making that decision is your very first decision in scaling. And write it down in 3 sentences.
Yep. I think our biggest problem actually isn't a product problem, it's a storytelling problem. And I think I've been on calls this whole week we felt it, and it's been the same messages. You got to get the messaging clear on every touch point, and particularly your website. And right now it's very features based and it's not story. It doesn't say what I just told you in the presentation.
So your software, sorry to interrupt, but your software is a feature and your storytelling and ease are the benefits. So the good people who are good at that stuff in this room can guide you on how to craft it.
Yeah.
After you've decided who your ideal client is. Because you've heard some great ideas. I mean, I know people who, and maybe this is relevant, I'm happy to make the introduction, who are trying to market to seniors who want to tell their memoirs in a video to their children. Okay? I mean, that's out there. Just and as Marco said, they have money to pay for it as opposed to students. I mean, so ideal client. And when you do go for money, that's the first question they're going to ask. Who's your ideal client? What problem do you solve?
Yep. Totally. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for contributing and asking great questions, making great suggestions today. Dumi, one last thought would be to have you use Shanda yourself to highlight storytellers and maybe do it in different ways. Like, hey, here's a 6-part podcast series. Here's a 12-part. Here's a 3-part. And show people how they can strategize and use storytelling to grow their visibility. If we go to the next slide, and let's give Dumi a round of applause again. Thank you for coming back and visiting us.
Thanks, everybody.
That's a early holiday present. We appreciate you and are grateful for you to come back and join us. What else can we help you with today?
Ooh, John mentioned something really effective earlier, which was crafting. I don't know if anyone, I think sometimes we're so close to the features. It's nice to have the ability to maybe to spend an hour with somebody to just come in and say, here's what we think the story should be. What do you think? And just get an outside perspective. So maybe time is the somebody who might know somebody who can give an hour of time, just like today. And we'll come in with the content and then say, let's re-workshop the stuff. Jen, we have the story about people. I've interviewed all the people who started a pod. We have the stuff, but we're struggling to bring it together. So time, 1 hour messaging, and that's it.
Perfect. Well, you're very likable. I think that'll be very easy. With that, I'm going to hand it over to John Foster to wrap us up.
Great. Thank you, Jen. All right, so that we had a fantastic meeting. Dumi, thank you again for the presentation. Learned a lot, and you'll get all of this for free, both the video and the chat. And so next week presenter could be you. So we are looking forward to, we'll see who's going to be presenting next week. I'd mentioned earlier about becoming an organizer. Please, if you are interested, you can chat, you can type in the chat, me. So anybody who's interested in becoming an organizer, it is a lot of fun. You learn a lot, and you get to work with some great people as well. So take advantage of that.
Organizer of what?
Organize of the meeting, Margot. So we meet every Monday from 9 to 9:30, and yeah, so we could chat every Monday morning from 9 to 9:30.
The organizers are responsible to make sure we have a meeting on Wednesdays with content. And our goal is to grow our group, and I'm really excited. I believe this is our 5th week. Don't quote me because I'm not good with numbers, but I think it's the 5th week we're over 20 in a row, even though the number has dropped off a little bit. But we had 20 plus in the room, so congratulations to everybody. And our purpose is to grow us to 30. So please help and invite someone.
Great. Thank you, John Rutenberg. Next. All right, come on up, James.
Okay, so as always, we like to showcase some events that are coming up in the area. So we've got 5 here. The 7th, which is tomorrow. Yeah, good Lord. So if you want to go to this, you got to act quick. So Dulles Regional Chamber has our Innovate 2024 event. It's a whole morning event, Regional Workforce and Housing. That is a really good event, and if that's something you're interested in, you should go. The next go guys and gals have a B2B Cocktails and Commerce fun event at Mackenzie's Tunes and Tonics, which I think is on University Drive in Fairfax on the 11th. That's a happy hour. Reston Chamber of Commerce are running their GovCon series, How AI Transformed Contract Procurement Process for Government. So again, if you're in the government space, that might be something you want to go and look at. Ms. Dawn Peters runs her monthly or bi-monthly Big Business Networking Mixer. That's at Chima in Tyson's Corner generally, but check it out. And then one of our past presenters, Sam Bryson from EOS, is running Are You Running Your Business or Is It Running You? And the answer is yes to both those questions. So that's happening actually here, I believe, at the Mason Enterprise Centre, 11 o'clock on November 13th. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to highlight all of these, drop them in chat so the links are available. So if you guys want to check anything out, you can do it straight in the chat.
All right. Great. Thank you, James. Excellent.
Okay, my guys.
And now you made it back to your seat.
Next slide.
Next slide. All right, and here we have the presenter schedule. You see that we've got, let's see, as I mentioned, next week we've got, we're open, and then let's see, it's the 6th, 13th. So we're looking for some people for the next couple of weeks. We do, and yes, December we have filling up, and then we are note that on the 27th we have no meeting. So yeah, anybody out there who is interested in presenting, please get in the pipeline. We can help you do that. That is one thing about anybody who's new out there. One of the things that we do here at the 1 Million Cups Fairfax chapter is that we really do make it easy from a presentation standpoint. We have the ability to, we'll send you a link and you can fill out the link and a presentation will be created for you. So just wanted to let you know that that is available for anybody that's new. And with that, there was a scan to apply. And then also notice on this next slide, we've got the QR code there for all the links that are in one place. And please, go ahead and make sure that you cover us out there on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and Twitter. So we are looking to get the word out. And with that, stick around for a bit. We will be here for a few minutes. Take the opportunity to ask any other questions, network. With that, we are done.
Great job, you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to stop recording. Thank you again, Dumi, for presenting. Really appreciate it. Great to have you join us.
Thank you all so much.